Hello and welcome to episode 7 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast with me, Will Brown. The panel are going to be talking about, big talking point, the 6-1 drubbing away at Bishop Stortford as Aldershot knocked out the FA trophy. And then we preview the Kidderminster away game and the Bromley home game on Tuesday, which starts a kind of 7-day streak of very important games for the Shots. Next week, I'm hoping we're going to be able to do like a new section of the show, a bit of fun. We're not used to this losing stuff. I think it's the first time we're going to talk about a defeat in a podcast since we've been doing it. So we're going to do a new section of the show called Aldershot's All-Time 11s. So if you've watched or listened to the Football Clichés podcast, they often do for example, a Turkish Super League 11 or something, players that really scream Turkish Super League. But we'll do a different theme every time. So we might do this once a month or something like that. So the first week, because we're currently watching Haji Manoga do bits for Tanzania out in the Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast, I think the first one's got to be lone players we've fallen in love with 11. So we want to make an 11, probably 4-4-2 of lone players. I imagine Scott Davis is going to be in there, but I want your suggestions for who you'd put in different positions, whether you want to send a whole 11 or just players that you think, players that you've fallen in love with, basically. Your Johnny Dixons in the first spell, for example. Lone keepers, we've had plenty of them. Is there any ones that stick out? Send in all your suggestions to atfcpodcast@gmail.com and also comment on any of the posts. I'll send out some more on Facebook, X, and we'll build it, we'll debate it, and hopefully come up with a nice 11 that we can share next time round. All that's left to say is enjoy the show. Well, we knew we'd have to cover a defeat at some point. The last defeat we had was Eastleigh at home. We covered Chesterfield in a festive roundup, but the Chesterfield at home was covered by the quiz of the year, so we hid behind that one. We're now going to talk about our 6-1 drubbing away at Bishop Stortford in the FA Trophy. Kane Critchlow scored 5. The only goal that wasn't scored by him was Darren Foxley, who made it 2-0. And we were 4-0 down after 25 minutes. Tolaj did get one back. He came on at half-time in the 74th minute. They immediately went up the other end and scored 5-1, and then Kane Critchlow rounded off his man of the match performance in the 88th minute. There's probably too much to say. Me and Ian met up for the second half, so I guess I'm going to come to you, Ian. What are your thoughts on the weekend's result?
Yeah, shocking and disappointing result, but sadly, always a possibility, I think, with this Aldershot Town side that they do ship goals. However, didn't expect them to ship as many against the team that was bottom of National League North. Bit of a reverse Swindon, I guess, in that I think the stats were that all the shots on target that Bishop Stortford had, all 6 were goals. Aldershot outnumbered them in terms of effort, in attacking efforts, not effort overall. And yeah, it was just one of those days where nothing seemed to go right, but there was also a lot of performances that were seriously, seriously below par. And I think if you were doing a man of the match award as a sponsor, then you'd have to give it to Largel Frost, who came on at half time, and that's how badly the other 11 performed, unfortunately.
Yeah, as you say, the six shots, 6 goals, mainly counter attack after our kind of pushing forward. So it felt like knife through butter most of the time because we'd look up the other end or towards us for 4 of the goals and they were back in again. yeah, so there were some individual mistakes, but I think in general it's just a terrible performance. Um, well, I mean, where do we begin with the first four goals? I think that they were the most kind of shocking, and um, obviously we weren't expecting them. All of our score predictions were generally quite low scoring anyway. Um, do you think it comes down to those individual mistakes in the first 25 minutes to put us 4-0 down, or do you think there's symptoms there that have been there for longer?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, I think when I met up with you on Saturday, the thing I remarked was that it felt like they were playing as a group of strangers, that the defence didn't seem like they'd played together before. The midfield, again, wasn't particularly good, and the attack weren't as good as they normally are. And then the three groups as well didn't seem to be linking together. So there was no sort of uh, trying to get the right word.
Yeah, it was like kind of truncated, wasn't it? It was like,
Yeah, that
there's
they
no
there was
fluency to get it or transition to get it
yeah,
forward.
like three teams within one team. And I heard things from the sidelines that when I was standing around the side in the first half, that some of the defence were, I wouldn't say abuse, but they were clearly quite unhappy with the people playing in front of them. And uh, also, yeah, there was individual errors. That I think the first goal for me was a good counter attack. That it was a bit like the Stokes goal against Stockport, the second goal. It was a bit like that. It was like quite a decent through ball, that one. So you sort of give credit there. The second goal, watching that back, cross coming from the left, and there's just no one there. And it's, if you see the replay again, the Critchlow that does put it in, you're actually surprised there's a Bishop Stortford attacker just before that that would have had a free shot at goal as well. The marking was just not where it needed to be for that goal. The third, I think they were a little bit aggrieved, not the ref or the linesman didn't give the ball out of play, and then they were kind of catching up and not really taking it from there. The other thing, thinking back to when they were 2-0 down, I mean, that was the point where I was not majorly concerned because of what they've done this season, Maidenhead, Bromley, Eastleigh as well, even, where I thought, okay, that they've hopefully had their wake up call and they'll get their behinds into gear and they'll get playing as a team again. But that just never happened, did it?
No, it never really clicked at all. I think we just seem to be going down the same way. Obviously, we're going to play the same way regardless of who we're against. But I think Bishop Stortford obviously set up in a way that as soon as you come into our half, you're going to get hassled and harried, and we're going to try and get the ball off you as quick as possible, or we're going to stop you from getting past. And I think the wing backs, Glover and Scott, were basically stopped from turning at their man, which is a bit of a problem because the only other option is to pass it back to Kobe Rowe or Harfield, or to play it to O'Keefe and Widdrington, who unfortunately weren't able to be mobile enough to drive forward and actually link up the midfield and attack. So we ended up, I think the attackers were so far ahead, and Kwame Thomas was doing his best to control hospital passes after hospital pass to his feet and bobbling. Obviously, the pitch was a bit bobbly anyway, but he was trying his best to try and control these kind of 30-yard driven balls at him. Yeah, so yeah, I guess the midfield too. Um, for me, I just I nobody can really find a reason why they're still able to come together. I guess because we were against lower opposition, maybe it would have worked if we'd won. It would have been perfect because we would have rested legs and those kind of things. I guess before we just descend into to negative thoughts anyway. Credit to Bishop Stortford because I think the finishes were brilliant. to be honest, I think they're all pretty low. Um, Geordie, I can't think of one that he really like absolutely should have saved. I know he had a bit of a fumble in the second half, which wasn't punished, but um, yeah, I just generally think that their finishes were brilliant. Kane Critchlow, fair play, 5 goals. Um, and they basically just made Aldershot run out of ideas very quickly. So yeah, fair play to Bishop Stortford. Um, and yeah, they've got a home draw against Colville Town in the next round. So fair play. They'll be relishing looking forward to maybe a quarterfinal spot. Um, yeah, the other thing I was going to mention was conceding so soon after scoring, which is another thing it's hard to put an actual reason on. But we've done it against Chesterfield, albeit a free kick, and against Woking recently. Um, yeah, I guess Ian, what are your thoughts on why we do this, or uh, is it just a patch we're going through?
Yeah, it could just be coincidence. I think when I was listening to the Woking game on New Year's Day, Rob Worrell sort of started to mention it and was talking about it, and it hadn't really particularly noticed that until that point. But yeah, I'm hoping it's a coincidence, but at the same time, yeah, maybe there is an element of, I think it is one of these, somebody's done a study or statistically that you are at your most vulnerable of conceding just after scoring. And the same goes for the sort of 5 minutes before half time and the 5 minutes uh, before the end of the game as well are particularly vulnerable to goals.
Yeah, it's hard to be critical because the goals that are going in are exactly the same as if they happened 5 minutes later. But it's so
Mm.
frustrating to feel like, especially at 4-1. Not to say that I thought we might turn it around, but I think we could have salvaged some pride and come away like a bit like the Eastleigh at home game.
Yeah,
You come away thinking, you know what, if we had an extra 15 minutes there, we could have turned it around. But we can't keep doing this.
no.
It is unsustainable to be that easy um to break down and get through. Um,
I
yeah,
mean, hopefully that it's happened in this game, and that is the kind of reminder of what needs to be done, and that to some extent this was a bit of an accident waiting to happen. That we'd had, conceded 4 v West Brom, 4 v Chesterfield, 5 v Eastleigh, uh, 5 against Oldham back in August, and stuff like that. So it's happened pretty regularly, and that on Saturday, where Bishop Stortford, everything they hit went in. Um, Nobody was particularly surprised that I was speaking to on the train home, things like that. Um, but now it's like, yes, you've definitely got to do something about it. And I think we talked about the last podcast about transfer window and options. I definitely think it'd be the time to try and find somebody on loan to help shore up the defence. And the other thing is probably you also, your midfield have to be more important or more useful in preventing or protecting the defence as well. And unfortunately, Widrington and O'Keefe didn't perform well together. I mean, O'Keefe unfortunately had to be hauled off at half time, which I think was the right decision. O'Keefe's a worry because he'd had a long injury. We were really hoping for him to come back and add a positive. Um, Took a while to get going in a few games, and you thought, okay, well, he'll get some more minutes under his belt, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But we've had quite a few minutes now, and it's not quite happening for him. And Theo as well. We've seen some pretty poor games from him at the start of the season. I felt he'd improved, but then had some time out with injury himself. So I I hope those two don't start this weekend. I'd probably be looking Willard and Frost to be my choice. I appreciate that Willard perhaps isn't always as consistent, but I think that extra pace and that extra effort is probably what the team needs at the moment to help the defence.
Yeah, I suppose it's interesting you say that we do need more help defensively from the midfield. When I think on Saturday that's the most defensive midfield pairing we can put together. I think in terms of mobility and what they bring to the team. Um, but as you just said, yeah, Frost and Willard do the hassling, the harrying, the kind of pressing that that does win you the ball back at this level. And I don't think O'Keefe and Widdrington are able to do that, or at least they're not able to do it together. I think maybe it's one or the other. If we're going to do it, I think Widdrington's best games, you know, I don't think they're going to be alongside O'Keefe for sure. I think he needs to be alongside someone more mobile and someone like Frost, who, credit to him, I think we mentioned in the West Brom kind of review how he just gets the ball and then he goes, he brings just 10 yards, run forward, spread the play. Um, so yeah, the midfield two is going to be interesting for Saturday. I don't think he can pick those two again. It was interesting. We were planning to play Portsmouth in a behind closed doors friendly on Tuesday, which was obviously frozen off due to the -6. I think it was the frost that came over. It does seem a bit too convenient if it had been planned in before, but I did feel like maybe it's a bit of a punishment for especially the players that came off at half time. I think, yeah, Kobe Rowe and O'Keefe. Um, I just don't know. I don't know. What were your thoughts on it, Ian? Do you think they were going to be playing or getting minutes, or was it more? Did we need to see the shape of the team again, or?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think Portsmouth, although they're top of League One, they've on a bit of a run of 3 or 4 without a win, and they got uh, beaten up at home by Leyton Orient on Saturday. So there could have been an element of Portsmouth needing the game and looking around to see who they could get a behind closed doors game with. So that might be the possibility, because obviously Tommy, with his Southampton connection, when he was talking about Portsmouth on that Rob Worrell podcast, I don't imagine he's got too many contacts in Portsmouth, was the gist of what I got. So maybe it was Portsmouth had got in touch with Tommy.
Yeah, it,
Um,
it it did seem that way. To be fair, I wonder if it was, yeah, begrudgingly. He'll probably send Hugo anyway. To be fair, he's probably banned from behind closed doors friendlies or something. Um, I guess that's parked most of the Bishop Stortford the actual debrief of the game. We'll go on to talk about the Kidderminster game and the selection, I suppose, which is basically going to be impacted by Bishop Stortford's defeating of us. Let's move on to back to the National League. Finally back. We've got Kidderminster away, who are currently bottom of the National League. They've just installed Phil Brown as manager, who he was in the stands for their penalty win in the FA Trophy. So he gets his first game in the dugout against Aldershot. Who hired him? Dean Holdsworth, no less, the loans master himself. So yeah, let's have a look at that. We've got yeah. So Ian's here. We were waiting on Julian. He's not arrived just yet. But if he pops in, he'll be talking about the Kidderminster game and the Bromley at home game next Tuesday. So Ian, big week for us in the National League. How do you see the Kidderminster away game to start off with?
I'm hoping that we can get a clean sheet out of this one. I think that'd be much needed. The home game with Kidderminster in November, Kidderminster were okay at the back, I felt, but they didn't really offer very much going forward. It was a 1-0 win for the Shots, and it needed a bit of Josh Stokes' magic to unlock the Kidderminster defence on that day. But I can't remember Yordi or the defence needing to do a lot on that day. So hopefully they'll be similar to come on Saturday. They don't, even though they've, I think, made a few signings and moved a few people out and a few people have come in loan, it doesn't look like there's too much has changed. So it's probably the ideal team to be playing after us letting in so many goals. Do feel a little bit like I am setting it up for us to concede heavily again there, but yeah, I'm just going on their record and what I saw early in the season that I am optimistic that with everyone given bollockings this week and perhaps a few personnel changes in the shot side that we can get back on track, and this is a good opportunity to do so.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't at the home game earlier in the season, but yeah, in general they haven't scored many goals. Just having a look here. Yeah, they've scored 20 in the 28 games so far, and conceded 37, which is not actually that bad. For context, we've conceded 47. So, yeah, they're conceding less than us, which obviously, as we've discussed, is actually not that big of an achievement. Christian Oxlade-Chamberlain will be in opposition, as well as Gold Omatayo, who we spent, it feels like much of the summer thinking he was on the brink of signing for Aldershot and then joined Fylde. He's now at Kidderminster. He joined in December. So also another ex-shot, Jerry McDonough, who seems to follow us around at different clubs. He was at Eastleigh last year and now he's at Kidderminster. The top goal scorer with 6 is Amari Morgan-Smith. So he's probably the danger man to look out for. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to going up there. It's a new ground for me, Agborough. And yeah, looking forward to that starting lineup notification at 2:30 is going to be vital to how happy I am, I think, when we start the game. So there are a few conundrums, I think. I suppose to begin with, is there anything we can do with the back five that really changes things without any income, or is it a complete change from a 5 to a 4? Who knows? What do you think, Ian? Let's start with the back line first. Do you think there'll be any changes, and is there a way to is there a way to do it right?
Yeah, I'm not sure there is unless somebody does sign in the next between the time of recording and Saturday lunchtime. I don't think there will be a change. I think the changes are more likely to be in the midfield. For certain, there'll be Tollage for Thomas, I would have thought. That would be a certainty, I think. So yeah, maybe it is sort of one last chance, I guess, perhaps for the defence as such to say, look, Kidderminster away, we'll write off or we're underlined last week. We'll move on from it. Kidderminster's a good opportunity, as I've said, to get a clean sheet or at least keep it tight. Just concede one, and we'll see from there. Yeah, new ground for me. I know we've played a reasonable amount of time, but for whatever reason, never made it before. So I've decided I'm going to go this year. So it's obviously possible with them bottom of the league that we won't need to go next year.
Yeah, they've got famous pies, or they used to. I don't know if they still
Yeah,
do.
I think my brother was telling me I think they changed the caterer or something. So it might not be as good as it was, apparently.
Because they always used to win the BBC Sport like Pie of the Year thing, didn't they? That was the thing. They do something else. I don't think it's pies then. Some sort of hot good. Probably like, I don't know. I'm not going to guess because I don't know. I suppose my only thought on the starting lineup for Saturday at least was that it'll probably be the first time that Barham, Stokes, and Tolaj have started together since working away on New Year's Day. So that seems quite nice to look at on the team sheet. You know, we should score goals with that. I think also we didn't really mention Stokes from the Bishop Stortford game, but he was basically anonymous or pushed out of the game.
Yeah, or he was sort of quite often he was coming back to try and get the ball or try and win the ball, was
Mm.
what I noticed, that sometimes he was like, hang on, that's Josh Stokes. I think if you look back at one of the goals, he's actually trying to mark somebody that um, shoots. I think it's the second or it's the fourth. If I need
They all
to
blur into
watch it
one,
more
but yeah.
closest, but yeah, when I was watching the goals back yesterday in preparation, it was, hang on, that's what's he doing there? And that I think is another thing that summed up last Saturday, that yeah, they just unfortunately didn't play like a team that had done so well this year. Um, but yeah, it'll be exciting to see Large Stokes and Barham back, and Barham as well was off it on Saturday. He didn't play as well. I think there was a chance in the first couple of minutes, where he had a one-on-one with the keeper and didn't score.
Mm.
Maybe that impacted it. I guess if it gone in or gone closer, he might have had a better game. But uh, he's had far more good games than bad games, so can forgive him on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think um yeah, Barham definitely could be better. I mean, he kind of had to play as well. We haven't like we haven't got the best squad depth. He had to play. And there was a moment where in the second half, no, the first half, he was screaming at the defense for a good, I don't know, good 60 seconds, having a big old tirade. Some swear words were thrown in there for good measure. You can see the red in his face from the halfway line, so that's a good sign. Yeah, Stokes on Saturday, just in the second half, I think Tommy tried to make obviously a few more changes. We changed at the back, and Stokes seemed to just kind of linger on the right hand side of the midfield to obviously try and basically play 1-2s with Ryan Glover and get a ball in the box. Yeah, we got a few in. We got a few in. Also, I completely forgot to mention the goalkeeper, to be honest, who made one of the best saves I've seen for a long time, right in front of my eyes. Um, Ian, do you remember who? Oh, it's Ryan Glover, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Glover from about 6 inches away from the goal, and he somehow brought his right hand over and kept it out. So that fair play to that keeper um, for that.
yeah, he
Um,
had a pretty solid afternoon, and yeah, the other things that he had to do were, well, shots didn't give him enough to do that was difficult, I think,
mm.
would be the thing, but the simple stuff he did well.
Okay, so that's for Saturday. That's Kidderminster away, ticked off the list. Hopefully, a nice way to bounce back at Agborough. Um, Tuesday sees us play Bromley at home. The first chance to get a double, two wins in a year since the podcast has been open against the same team. So the podcast started after the that remarkable away match with Kobe Rowe popping up to win things with his header, 3-2. So we know Bromley. They, their team seems to evolve and change quite often, but not discernibly, to be honest. So Michael Cheek is obviously top goal scorer for them. He's also the top goal scorer in National League in 2023, which surprised me because I would have thought Langstaff's goals would have been enough, but I suppose he would have only been there for half a season. So fair play to Michael Cheek. He always scores. They've also got Ben Crowhouse. I don't know how much he's been touted to leave um, so far. I'm sure there's rumours about him going. And they seem to have just solidified their position as second or third, depending on depending on who slips up between them and Barnet. So yeah, Ian, let's have a think about the Tuesday night match and I guess the next 7 days in general. How are you feeling about them?
Yeah, bit worried. Probably a decent outfit, and uh, it was a really good win against them at theirs. Um, I think, yeah, this is going to be our toughest test at home for some time. And a lot of it, I guess my mood, depending on that, also so much riding on how Saturday goes. Then if we can win on Saturday, then, a draw with Bromley's quite an acceptable result, I think. Whereas if we get beat at Kidderminster, then Bromley becomes a game that we could really, really do with winning, especially if that gap to the playoff position starts to widen. Um, so, yeah, at the minute I'm in take a point, be quite happy with that category. But if you were asking me again on Monday night, then my answer could be quite different. Yeah, fear Michael Cheek. He's sort of proper good goal scorer at this level. And I think when we did our first podcast, I said that I expected them to be nailed on top three. And I think nothing's changed since, that they've been picking up the points quietly. They're not really a team a lot of people talk about, but they've been in those positions almost all the season, haven't they? And
Yeah, they're always on the edge of getting to. Well, they obviously got to Wembley a couple of years ago, but they're always doing well in the FA Trophy. They haven't had one of those like proper stellar FA Cup runs from what I can remember though.
no, yeah, they're
No.
still one of the National League teams remaining in the trophy now.
Hmm.
Got a friend who I met up with at the Bromley game, goes to their matches, and he obviously texts the teams from the National League that are still in. I think there's only 6 left, and he was like, "Does nobody want to win this from the top league?" And it does seem
Yeah.
that way. So it's probably, I don't know what draw they ended up with, but
No, I don't. Off the top of my head, it might
they'd
have been
probably go
Welling.
quite
No, Aveley. I think it's Aveley.
Avely. Okay, so it's not that far from Bromley.
I could probably check it right now, actually,
Yeah, it's
just to
probably
make
about,
sure.
yeah.
Yes, Aveley at home. So that's quite a nice one. Bromley Aveley. Sounds very FA Trophy to me. Yeah, so obviously we follow the Bromley game on the Tuesday night to Saturday, where we play another playoff chasing team. Well, not chasing team, they're in it. Rochdale currently sitting seventh, so it's just a big 7 days really. Bottom of the league, second in the league, and seventh in the league. Um, and two of them at home. So I mean, it's home form that's going to really turn this around. We've had 4 straight away games, so that home form we know has been pretty decent this season. Obviously, it had a little falter at the um, end of the year with the defeat to Eastleigh. But yeah, how are you looking forward to a Tuesday night match at the Rec? Yeah,
Yeah, need it because obviously the last home game was all the way back on Boxing Day. So what's it going to be? 23rd of January. So it's almost a month without a home game. And I suppose a good job that we did have the FA Cup in there to get some revenue, because I think if this was a normal year going a month between home games, that would be quite tight on the club finances. But hopefully we're in a better place now because of that. But yeah, enjoyed Tuesday night game. Bit of a rush to get home from London and then drive over to Aldershot, but I should be there in time. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the Bromley game, just because of, yeah, it's nice to see the better teams, I think. And it's also a good yardstick as well on how good we actually are.
yeah, I think that's definitely gonna be brought out in the next two home games, I suppose. Bromley at home and then Rochdale at home. Whether we are ready to pit ourselves against these teams, and if we can beat them at home, I mean that's a big another string to our bow. Obviously, it means nothing um, broadly because we're still in January, but it does seem to be like a kind of, because we've had 2 games in a row that have been not necessarily season defining, but the FA Trophy we want it because, or Tommy wants it. He wants to take us to Wembley. That's his. He's kind of talked about that. The FA Cup was obviously an amazing occasion. So now it feels like we're out of the 2 cups, and now staring down the barrel of if you lose the next three or something, we're just a mid-table team that concede a lot of goals and score a lot of goals. So yeah, I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited to play Bromley at home, and the wreck on a cold Tuesday night is nothing better. I guess we didn't do score predictions for the Kidderminster and Bromley games. Let's should we do them in one? I suppose you can use the first as context for the next one. So it's kind of
Yeah.
because they do depend, don't they? But what do you reckon?
I'm going to go for a 1-0 to Aldershot on Saturday at Kidderminster. Just do enough, I think. And then maybe Bromley might be a bit more open. So maybe something like 2-2 for Bromley.
A Desmond.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think in general, if Kidderminster have only scored 20 in 28, it feels like a game where they'll still score two against us. So I think a 3-2 against Kidderminster, because I think we'll go for it. Probably be 2-0 down, actually, now I come to think of it. And then Bromley, I think we might beat them. I think we've got the mental edge over them from the 3-2. Maybe another red card, actually, that'd be nice. But yeah, I think 2-1. I think our season pivots and we get 6 points from the next two. Don't know where that optimism came from. We didn't start off very optimistic after the Bishop Stortford game, but I'm feeling more confident now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, that because of the memories and the things that we've seen this season, you can forgive last Saturday. As frustrating as it was to be there and watch that, you think, okay, yeah, we can write that off. Trophy not meant to be again for this year, but we've still got the league to play for. We can still achieve the playoffs. It's the third time I've been present for a 6-1 defeat.
Lovely.
Burton away back in 2009, and that team, it was early on in the Kevin Dillon reign, that team made the playoffs in League Two.
Hey.
So that's, I think, you know, hopefully that's an omen in that one. And then the other one was Dagenham 6-1
Oh,
2019.
don't remind me. Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
completely forgot
Danny
about that.
Searle early one. And then, of course, that one ended up okay, but because the season got cancelled and we had all
Yes.
the lockdowns and everything. So it's like, on one hand, we had playoff joy. Obviously, we didn't win the playoffs, but it was still great to get in them. And then the other hand, we had
Almost be.
global pandemic and
Yeah,
misery
yeah.
and everything like that. So which way will this 6-1 end up?
Oh dear. Oh, that's great. I completely forgot about that Dagenham game. It does get brought up. Oh God, I can still see it now. Horrible, horrible. Um, so yeah, that's the next couple of games. Any other business was the announcement of tour of duty for this year, which is on the 6th of April. It's Hartlepool United away. Um, my first initial thoughts were the last time I went up was in February, and it was so cold and so windy. I don't suppose it's not going to be windy. It's going to be windy up there. But yeah, April at least gives it a nice. There's a nice chance for nice weather up there. We might get sunshine at the sea, like a weekend just after Easter as well. I think a week
Yeah,
after
it's the
Easter.
weekend after.
Perfect, perfect. I'm going to use it as my birthday weekend because I'm the 30th of March. So you know,
Okay.
if people actually like me, then they'll be there. So how about that? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that trip up to the northeast, Ian?
Yeah, I'm happy with the choice. I mean, for me, my other love is Hampshire cricket. So we're playing at
Yes, I
Durham.
saw that. Yes,
We're playing Durham the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I think I will go to Durham for the Friday.
nice. I thought you were going to say all
Saturday,
all 4 days there. To be fair.
no, I think I'll do Friday at Durham, Saturday morning at Durham, and then drive over to Hartlepool, and then probably make my way home from there. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, good choice. I went to the FA Cup game, which was 2004. We lost 5-1, but they were in the playoffs positions for League One, nearly got in the Championship that year.
Mm.
And we were sort of playoff positions in the National League at that point, or conference as it was then. So, yeah, they've had quite a poor last few years, I think. Obviously, getting back up and then coming back down. So we meet as equals this time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, and I just hope that the season's still got some momentum by that point.
Yeah, yeah. It does. It's also quite it should be quite a nice team to play as well. It's not too. They're not. They seem like they're going to be pretty mid-table. I know there's quite a few teams that could go both ways, I suppose. But it should be a chance of 3 points, and hopefully we're sitting in sixth, looking to catch up with Solihull in fourth or something like that. But yeah. So that's 6th of April. Look forward to that. The only other thing was, most of the National League games got called off this week. Only Chesterfield went ahead. They won their 16th home game in a row against Altrincham with an 83rd minute winner. So yeah, I mean, it leaves us, because none of the teams got ahead of us. We're still 3 points off 5th and 6 points off 4th. So we'll see where we are next week. Any other thoughts, Ian, on the National League stuff that's happened since we last did a podcast?
No, nothing happened because was it Eastleigh lost to Southend,
Yes.
which I did predict that one because they were more interested in their replay, and I'm delighted that they lost their replay, so they're not playing Manchester United.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so quite quiet on National League front, but I think you should just mention the African Cup of Nations. Unfortunately, Minoga was in the Tanzania side that lost 3-0 to Morocco earlier on this evening.
Yeah.
But that was probably their hardest group game, I think.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
3-0 is probably no disgrace, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's hope. Next week we should, I think that he would have played his second at least game. So we might see if they've got a chance of getting through. There's been some lovely results in there so far. So watch it. I don't know. Is that a recommendation to watch the brilliant tournament?
We watched game Senegal yesterday, game at work. So it was okay.
Yeah.
Nothing amazing. Or was it the day before? But anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember the Egypt game that I was watching that they equalised in the last. Who was it against? I don't want to get them wrong. They nearly won their first ever game in the African Cup of Nations. Oh, Mozambique. Yeah. They conceded a penalty in the last minute. Rubbish challenge. Cool. That's it. Thanks for coming on, Ian. And
no worries.
We will be back next week, hopefully with 6 points in tow, back in the playoff picture. Cool. Cheers. And there we go. Thanks for listening to episode 7 of When the Flames Go Up. I'm currently logged out of the X or the Twitter account for ATFC Podcast due to a admin error and the fact that I broke my phone in Snobs in Birmingham, which was the only place I could log in. So yeah, I can't really share it anywhere other than on my own profile. So if you can share it with someone that you know, maybe if you're on your way up to Kidderminster, you can debate your favourite loan players and send in any suggestions that you might have. We'll be back next week to hopefully talk about the 6 points gained from Kidderminster away and Bromley at home. Cheers.